This is the Monday broadcast of Market View right here on Eswatini TV. I am Natsili Sutole. Thank you for your company. On the program today, we want to talk trade as the Eswatini International Trade Fair, or the EITF, returns for its 58th edition at the Mavuso Trade and Exhibition Center in Manzini. Now, the annual week-long expo brings together local businesses, regional and international exhibitors, and consumers to showcase products, services, and investment opportunities. By July this year, more than 400 applications had been received from prospective exhibitors. That is above the initial target of 280 exhibitors, suggesting that businesses continue to see value in having a presence at the fair. Given the theme, Unlocking Green Economy Opportunities for Sustainable Trade, what does participation actually produce? The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority's Domestic Trade Promotion Manager will be joining us for this conversation right here in studio today. But first, let's get you up to speed with some of the latest in business. In our business news, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has brought together different stakeholders to sensitize them on the dispute settlement mechanism under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Speaking during the training at the Royal Villas, the Minister for Information, Communication and Technology, Honorable Savannah Mazia, said the dispute settlement mechanism will promote fair and free trade for local businesses. Honorable Savannah Mazia was representing the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade at the meeting, which is supported by the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat.
As the Kingdom of Eswatini actively pursues deeper continental economic integration, we recognize that market access alone is not enough to guarantee commercial success. True integration requires a stable, equitable environment where commercial rules are respected. To that end, the dispute settlement mechanism established under Article 20 of the AFC-FTA agreement serves as a fundamental pillar for ensuring a rules-based, transparent, and predictable continental trading environment. For Eswatini to thrive within the expanded continental market, our national stakeholders must fully understand, navigate, and effectively leverage the protocol on rules and procedures on the settlement of disputes. Through our strategic partnership with the AFC-FTA Secretariat's Dispute Settlement Division, this 3-day workshop is designed to enable Eswatini to develop specialized national expert capacity on the dispute settlement mechanism, deepen the practical understanding and real-world application of the AFC-FTA dispute settlement mechanism among key stakeholders, equip participants with a clear, comprehensive understanding of the legal frameworks, procedures, institutions, and dispute processes under the AFC-FTA. The technical complexity of trade dispute resolution demands active engagement. We have intentionally brought together a diverse distribution of key national entities because your collective participation is so very vital. I urge each one of you to participate actively throughout the full duration of this workshop. Engage closely with the technical experts from the Secretariat, challenge assumptions, and explore how your respective institutions can collaborate to protect Eswatini's commercial space.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, with the support of the European Union and the International Trade Center, is in the process of formulating a new national trade policy that will guide the country's trade agenda over the next 4 years. Speaking during a validation workshop held at the Royal Villas, Director of International Trade Lungile Dlamini says the policy is aimed at strengthening Eswatini's trade performance by creating greater opportunities for local products to access regional and international markets.
The director says, among other things, the policy will identify practical ways in which local businesses can take advantage of market access opportunities under the Southern African Customs Union, SADC, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. She notes that it will also address rules of origin, which determine whether products qualify for preferential market access under these trade agreements, further focusing on product standards, competition, intellectual property, trade and investment, value chains, industrialization and competitiveness.
Kufuna usibukete tindzaba tema-tariffs. Nangithi ma-tariffs kusho ukuthi ke nguleli zinga nje lenzela tintfo letingena ngato. Lokunye ke lengidakubuketa ma-rules of origin lebuketwa ngile policy ma-issues ema-rules. Lama-rules of origin ke ngicela kusho ukuthi kuloko aku-apply la kasakho ukhanza ku-apply kubo SADC ku-apply kubo COMESA apply kubo AFCTA nalokunye ke lokumcoka ama-issues ema-standards lamanye ke ma-issues ipolicy yethu lewabukako aka-competition.
We also spoke to the Director of Small and Medium Enterprises at the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade on how the new national trade policy will support small businesses and enable them to participate more effectively in regional and international trade.
We also want to align it with other international treaties such as the AU MSME trade strategy and also our SADC competitiveness strategy on MSMEs. So all of these kind of documents are the ones that we want to link them and see how local businesses can benefit. Also issues of finance have came as one of the topical matters that we're discussing today, and also issue of capacity building and training, and also issues of certification. You will recall that as a country we're engaged with Ingeno certification project that we're assisting MSMEs to meet product standards. So basically even today we are looking at those issues in terms of how the policy will shape the destiny of our MSMEs in terms of trade.
Representing the private sector, Head of Trade at Business Eswatini, Musa Masego, shares his views on the importance of the national policy that responds to the needs of businesses and creates a more conducive environment for trade and investment.
Primarily what we want to see is more action and less of kind of like the rhetoric around this is this policy or this is the strategy in place, but rather an actionable implementation plan. Looking at where our private sector is, looking at, for example, looking at the population of MSMEs in Eswatini. If out of 69,000 registered MSMEs, 1% are export ready, that speaks to a huge opportunity in terms of expanding that export base. However, it becomes important to adequately identify the constraints within the MSME sector and address those so that they can be able to export even some of the regional markets within SACU and SADC.
The Director of International Trade says the ministry's ultimate goal is to develop a practical and inclusive trade policy that will strengthen local businesses, expand market access, boost exports, and position Eswatini to benefit more from regional and international trade opportunities. Reporting, Nelson Langamandla for Inkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
And you're up to date with some of the latest in business. Stay tuned for a conversation with the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority after this.
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare that a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Welcome back. This is Market View, and moving on with the program from August 28th to September 6th this year, the Mavuso Trade and Exhibition Center in Manzini will be the place to be as the 58th Eswatini International Trade Fair takes center stage. Now, through this annual multi-day trade expo, local businesses, regional and international exhibitors and government stakeholders will convene to showcase products, services and share investment opportunities. Hosted by the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, APA, this year's edition of the fair is themed Unlocking Green Economy Opportunities for Sustainable Trade. We're now joined by APA's Manager Domestic Trade Promotion, Siphe Sihle Nkabinza. Sihle, thank you very much for your time. Let me just take you back a bit to last year's edition in 2025, where we saw 282 exhibitors, including 22 foreign participants. I'm not sure if we do have the figures for this year's edition ahead of it taking place on the 28th, but how many have been confirmed, and from which countries can we expect that they will be represented at this year's International Trade Fair?
Thank you for having me. This year's trade fair, basically, it tends to be an interesting one in terms of diversity, in as far as countries' representation is concerned. We are expecting a diverse number of and a huge number of foreign countries participating this year, from the traditional one we used to host in the previous years. Starting from Taiwan, they've shown interest to be part of the trade fair. We're also having a company from Turkey that will also be showcasing Turkish products. Then Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana also, they'll be taking a pavilion, and we are having a number of companies from South Africa, some bringing some technology, some bringing some agricultural implements that will be showcased at the trade fair. It's just an array. We are still processing Mozambique. We're not sure whether they will end up being part of the trade fair, since it's coinciding with their own trade fair that's happening that side. So I think it's just a matter of time to confirm if their participation in this year's trade fair. Then in regards to the overall numbers, basically we received around 400 plus interest exhibitors for the trade fair 2026, but since we are still in the process of consolidating, I think the exact figures will be able to have maybe before the end of this week as to how many foreign companies have confirmed participation, and also how many SMEs have shown interest in being part of the 58th edition of the EITF, and also the corporate in the corporate space. We will maybe have those figures before the end of this week as to how many are we having this year.
A number of countries you have listed, to me that says the Eswatini International Trade Fair just keeps getting better, bigger by the years. I'll take you to the Taiwanese pavilion. I read up that we're expecting at least 26 exhibitors from Taiwan. You've also highlighted a number of countries that will be coming through. I just want to ask, given the mix of local and regional and international exhibitors under one roof, what does this mean for trade opportunities for the local Eswatini business?
Definitely, there is that huge interest from internationals to scan the Eswatini environment in regards to businesses. So we are expecting a huge number from Taiwan, which would be a hybrid format. We'll be having 9 exhibiting at the trade fair, and also those that will be exhibiting virtually, which is it's an opportunity for our local businesses just to find suppliers from Taiwan, just to find partners from Taiwan, those that are seeing Africa as an open market for them. Remember that Eswatini is strategically positioned in terms of access to markets. We are a party to COMESA, we are a party to SADC, we are a party to SACO. So this is a huge market which most international companies are willing to explore. So they view Eswatini as a fertile ground to ensure that their footprint in the African market it's shown and it's appreciated. They just want, basically, from the Eswatini perspective, they just want to find partners and to find buyers here in the country who are looking to import products from their manufacturing spaces.
One of the targets for the kingdom is to expand our export base. Now, how can we, or rather the Eswatini International Trade Fair, help local businesses, to move from selling within the kingdom to accessing markets regionally and internationally?
I think the starting point, it's on the basis of increasing the capacity of our locally produced products, where we have a number of companies in the manufacturing space to explore the markets outside Eswatini. If you can take, for example, moving products from Eswatini to SADC, it means our products are having a competitive advantage basically in exploring that market, in the sense that we have duty-free access. So we are competing with the products that are from the different countries in a better way as Eswatini, since we do not pay duties. So it's something that needs to be taken into consideration to ensure that we increase, as a country, we increase the number of companies in the production space so that we can tap into these available markets.
My next question would be how a local business owner can use the Eswatini International Trade Fair, to scale their trading capacity?
It's the trade fair. It's a networking environment, basically. Sure. Since we are gunning for the participation of foreign companies at the trade fair, I think it opens up the B2B environment where businesses can engage with those that are present from foreign countries at the trade fair, just to see how best they can maneuver or they can move their products to those countries or even beyond. For example, we are having a representation from the EU who will be part of the trade fair, especially during the official opening. That's when we want to engage, basically. We also have the UNDP that will be setting up an exhibition space at the trade fair. So this is the opportune moment whereby local businesses can just engage, just to find out the business landscape in those regions. And also Taiwan, we've got an increased number of products which we are capable to move from Eswatini to Taiwan duty-free. So engaging with those companies from these foreign territories, it gives us an advantage in terms of exploring or increasing our footprint in those countries.
Let's get into the theme, Sihle. This year's theme is unlocking green economy opportunities for sustainable trade rather. What is sustainable trade, and what are some of the new trade opportunities that we're talking about centered to the theme?
Basically, what we are saying is that let's look at the green space. Let's look at the green opportunities, be either on products, be either on services, be either on information that can be shared around the green opportunities. We are looking at manufacturing, where we're talking upcycling, recycling. We are looking at nurseries, where we're talking to things like let's have a green space in terms of plants and fauna that can be showcased at the trade fair. We are also looking at other opportunities that are in the green space. We want to ensure that we keep our country in a manner in which future generations will find it good and perfect for them to inhabit it. So basically what we are saying, let's talk to issues of finance. Which opportunities are there for finance in terms of what local institutions can offer and also international institutions can offer. Let's also talk to issues where we get maybe external funding towards trade in the green space. So let's ensure that maybe we look at those, dissect them, and make sure that every Leswati can benefit from those opportunities that's going to be there. We've partnered with institutions like the EEA, who would be a certain environment authority, who will be in the seminar space telling us about the green opportunities. So I think it's open for every Leswati just to participate in those seminars so that that they can know which opportunities or what opportunities are there for them to explore.
Briefly, Nkabinzo, you've highlighted some of the areas in the green economy. Based on what the authority has observed, are local businesses ready to compete in markets where sustainability is increasingly becoming part of the cost of doing business? Just briefly.
I think we are slowly getting there. We've seen some action, we've seen some initiatives being established in the country that are pushing us towards the green space. We've seen the financial institutions offering some packages that are supportive of green participation in the economy. So I think as a country we are steadily increasing our participation in the green economy.
Sihle, thank you very much for your time. That was Sihle Nkabinzo, who is the Manager, Domestic Trade Promotion at the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority. And we were talking about the opportunities in the green economy that await for local businesses also ahead, or rather, which is part of the theme for the 58th edition of the Eswatini International Trade Fair. After the break, we're back with economist Sanele Sibia.
Attention retailers, importers, clearing agents and customs brokers. All television sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini now require mandatory ESTVA authorization before customs clearance. No clearance without valid ESTVA import permit. Don't risk delays at the border. Submit your application 24 to 48 hours before your shipment arrives. We process complete applications in just 1 to 2 working days. Our QR-coded permits make the verification quick and easy. Always double-check your HS codes and quantities for smooth compliance. The process is simple. Step 1. Submit your completed application form. Annex A with product line items for TVs, decoders, and commercial invoice. Step 2. Eswatini TV reviews and approves. Step 3. Make payment and complete verification. Step 4. Receive your permit. Step 5. Clear customs smoothly at the border. Make sure you have all your required documents, a completed application form, Annex A detailing your product line items, commercial invoice, valid TV retailer license, and letter of authority if applicable. Our permits feature QR codes for easy border verification. For assistance, email us at license@eswatinitv.co.za or call our help desk. Apply before your shipment arrives. Ensure compliance and avoid delays. Remember, all TV sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a valid ESTVA import permit. Thank you. Act now.
Welcome back. In this last segment of the show, we talk markets now. We are joined in the studio by economist Sanele Sibia. Mr. Sibia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. So we are seeing this mix of where it's weaker U.S. consumer data on one side and higher energy prices on the other. What do markets make of this? Are we seeing anything closer to a stagflation risk?
Thank you, Notsile. Good afternoon to you and also good afternoon to the viewer. So that's just the paradox that traders are trying to deal with today. We're seeing the fact that we saw weak economic data come in, and also consumer sentiments are also on the downside in the US. So now what that means is if you couple that with the non-farm payroll data or the jobs data that came out the first week of August, they showed that the US economy did add jobs, but not the number of jobs that markets were expecting. So now what that does is it creates a perfect storm for or a perfect prediction for interest rates to either hold or come down. So now that's what we are seeing driving markets really. It's that interest rate expectation, and then also we're seeing AI doing a lot. AI is somewhat generating a lot of money, but not yet enough. So the fact that it's generating the money, it's somehow showing to the fact, pointing to the fact that eventually the industry is going to be profitable. So now that's what's driving markets in Asia, and also in the UK. And then coming into the US in itself, what we saw on Friday at close, when those numbers came out, all the indices were relatively down. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down, 107 points. The Nasdaq Composite Index also down 73 points, and the S&P 500 was also down 13 points. So now you bring in that issue around high energy prices. Now, what we are looking forward to this week is, that the retailer earnings data, the retailers' earnings data, and it's actually going to give us an indication of whether consumption is still there or not, and how consumers are really just viewing the market. So now that's where we are with the US this week. But the softer dollar is also contributing to that downward movement that we saw at close. And then coming into the European markets, Europe is relatively mixed. Now that is also just driven by the fact that we are seeing this pressure coming through from the US with that poor economic data. And then also when you look at the fundamentals within Europe in itself, they are also not that good, even though we're still at those all-time high records, at those high record levels. But markets are a bit cautious right now in terms of what is going to happen. What does this mean for consumption, both coming through from the Asian markets and also from the US markets? Remember that China is also facing relatively the similar type of story in terms of consumption. So overall in the US, in the Asian markets, we can see that that tech spending was able to prop up markets today. In terms of the Nikkei is up 506 points, edging back up to that 670,000 mark. Now that's driven largely by a tech rally. So what we are seeing the vulnerabilities in the Asian markets being this time around is the tech rally and also those high oil prices, right? So we're seeing that playing into a positive in terms of the Hong Kong, they're up at that 336 points, and the Shanghai Composite Index up 55 points, just 12 points away from that 4,000 mark, which we saw before the war. So that still shows that that war premium is still there in markets. And then coming into South Africa, we're seeing a bit of an upward nudge, just slightly maintaining that 114,000 mark. Now that's driven by the fact that we are seeing gold really performing well, and the financials within the South African markets are just performing well. Coming into Eswatini, we have not seen any movements today in the Eswatini Stock Exchange. And in terms of our commodities, gold continues to rally upwards as we are seeing this, the indications that interest rates are either going to remain flat or start going down. So people are now pivoting back to gold to keep value. And then we're seeing those Strait of Hormuz issues there still coming into play. The markets with the price of Brent crude oil are just a bit shy of that $90 mark. But we're seeing it staying below that $90 mark. So that means the markets still have faith in terms of what the outcome of those peace talks is going to be. And then in terms of the Lilangeni today, given that gold rally and also, the relative weakness of the rand, we are relatively stronger against the rand, up 0.18 percentage points. We are up 0.04 percentage points against the euro, and we are also up 0.14 percentage points against the Japanese yen, just given the fact that markets are seeing a bit of stability and the metals are supporting the demand for the local currency.
Mr. Spear, thank you very much for your analysis. That was in-house economist Anela Sivia filling us in on the day's trade. This has been Market View from myself and the team. Let's meet again next time. Bye-bye.